student friends. Definitely it's a very pleasant evening to be here with you all on the occasion of the inauguration of the newly registered club, Health, Hygiene and Environment. In fact, it's a beautiful initiative which would definitely sensitize the students and the staff and create awareness among the young students with regard to the health, hygiene and the environment. That's very important because you are the ambassadors for the time to come. And also, it's my hearty appreciations are due to the organizers for beautifully rechristening the club. Somehow, still, when you say yoga and meditation, the people from the West connotate it with Hinduism or India. But I only believe that anything should be free of connotation for anyone to approach without any bias or without any inhibitions. So in that context, I definitely very heartily appreciate the organizers for very beautifully recrystalline, although the name looks little longer. It's very my hearty appreciations and congratulations and best wishes for them to succeed and to conduct plenty of programs to benefit for the benefit of the students. Well then, the club has started very interestingly with a historical perspective from Professor Nagarajan, how the Emperor Ashoka 3000 years ago was so conscious of environment, although there was no threat to the environment at that point of time. Beautiful environment at that point of time. Himalayan glacier was so beautiful. The world as a whole was wonderful. But even at that point in time, he was so thoughtful to think about the environment. There was no threat, absolutely no threat. There was no industrial revolution at that point in time. There was no effluence coming out of the industry. But at that point in time, that's a statesman, that's a visionary, one who thinks ahead of time. One who thinks ahead of the time is basically called as like a statesman or basically a visionary. He was a great visionary. That's why even today we remember him with all reverence. And then Professor Nagarajan very beautifully gave a philosophical discourse on health and other issues. I'm definitely afraid what am I going to talk in the time ahead. And certainly there are some personalities seated before me who are more competent to talk on this topic. Possibly, as I told Rajendran, I have grey hair and therefore I have been invited to talk. This guy will be here around for about another 10 years, therefore we will give him more opportunities to talk to these students. That might be one reason. Well, anyway, let me see whether I can share with you some of my points from other perspective. Health, hygiene and environment. They are the most threatened aspects of today. That's why. Let me tell you very importantly. Any society, its prosperity, its influence, its ability to leverage its existence will be recognized in terms of two aspects. One is health and the other is education. If the society is educated beautifully, if the society is health, no one can stop its prosperity. No one can stop it from its progressing. That's what you can see all around. Because education gives you intellectual power, and if you have intellectual power alone, is it okay? No, it has to be translated. For that, you require productive labor, and that always comes from health. So the productive labor comes from health. Intellectual capacity comes from education, and when both of them are in congruence and resonance, wow, that society will prosper and it will progress by leaps and bounds. And that has been the secret of the human existence, and that has been recorded pretty well in the history with lots of proofs and evidences. Fine. But there are a lot of challenges. Today, what happens? Today's education, if you look at it, education itself has been, today it's not being understood in its real perspective. Education is not an English word, original word. It's basically, Latin word. Edu is one, seer is one, to bring out, to bring forth the best out of a human being. So education means to bring out the best out of a human person. He must be literate, he must be compassionate, he must be kind, he must be considerate, he must be a wholesome human being, he must be a beautiful human being. Only then a person can be said to be an educated person. But today, it's a materialistic enterprise. Today's education is understood as a materialistic enterprise. The moment you are put in an LKG, your mother says, you have to study well, be a first rank holder. Only then you can get admission into Chitwa or a Pondicherry Engineering College. And the moment you come to Pondicherry Engineering College, 4th year you are going to get a job, handful of money. That's how you look at it. Very rarely we see the parents telling, you must be a beautiful human being, you must be a person of great character. Very rarely, because possibly they take it for granted. I'm not sure, but that is what is very important. Because let me tell you, at the end of the day, you will be evaluated only in terms of how good you are as a person. Say possibly when you are born, your mother and parents are anxious. How good the child is? Pretty healthy, 3.5 kg. Wow, great. And then does the child have hair? That's how you are recognized. When you go to the school, how you are identified? Okay, how intelligent you are. When you come to the college, how you are identified? Oh, how very beautifully he is doing very well. When you go for a job, how well you do the job. But then, in the end, how good you are, what kind of a person he is. That's how you are evaluated. So let me tell you, the base of the pyramid, if the human being can be visualized as a pyramid, the base of the pyramid is how good we are as a person. That is what is important. So that's what education also means. So if the education doesn't give, that means that's a failure of the educational system. But let me tell you very honestly, today we are driven by consumerism, commodity, and materialistic culture. That's a lot. So in fact, in that context, I really appreciate this initiative of starting this club, perhaps to give different perspectives of the life. Right? Then the health. That's again, basic, possibly, as I said, materialistic. We basically look at only our own self, not bother about this one. But even for the benefit of our own self, for the sake of our own self, we need to maintain a beautiful environment. Remember, there's a difference between standard of living and the quality of living. Right? Inside your home, you can beautifully maintain your home and you can lead a beautiful life, rich life. That's all standard of living. His standard of living is good because he lives in a beautiful house, he comes by a beautiful car, and he dresses very beautifully. Yes, standard of living. But remember the road infrastructure, the society as a whole, the seas, the rivers, the glaciers, all of them together constitute your quality of living. Everybody says in India standard of life is increasing, but the quality of life is going down. Right? Whereas in US, they strive hard to maintain both the standard of living and the quality of living. That's why they dump all the electronic waste into third world countries, because they want to have a better quality of life. That's why they dump all the electronic waste into third world countries. They also give money to dump the electronic waste. That's the irony. So health, that's a very, very important. But first of all, individual health. That's very fine. Obviously, we need to be conscious of it. It has to come from within. And obviously, Rajendran and Hemakumar are the best people to talk on to you, to talk on how to maintain the individual health. But the individual health is basically an exclusive one. Right? I'm very healthy. Is it okay? No. I also have to ensure that the society around is healthy. Only then I can also maintain my health. So that, the health. Today, what's the situation in India? Around 42% of the children below 3 years of age are malnourished. What kind of productive human roots they would be when they grow into 18 years of age? Remember, 42% of the India children below 3 years of age are malnourished, stunted in growth. In fact, I've seen in Hindu photographs of the children from Madhya Pradesh deformed because of the malnutrition. In a progressive state like Maharashtra, your mother has to walk, in that region, your mother has to walk 10 kilometers to the nearest primary health center to get the vaccine. That's the health scenario in India. Close to 40% of India's rural women are anemic. What about that? The health of the women is paramount to the society. If the society has to be healthy, its women has to be healthy. When the woman is not healthy, then definitely she will give birth to the children who are not healthy. So that's why we must always respect the health of the women. That's the asset of the society also. But look at the scenario, 40% of India's rural women are anemic. That's the scenario. This is one challenge. You all must be sensitized to that. First of all, you need to create awareness about the people, how to be healthy. That is one challenge. Right. There's a difference between health and medical. When the destruction happens, then comes the medical intervention. When you are healthy, you ask the doctor to go to health. There's no problem. Because all of us are healthy, he doesn't have any other job here. Right. When you are not able to be healthy, then what happens? You have to go in search for the doctor. What is the scenario in India? Pretty dismal. Let me tell you, for every 1,722 people in India, you have only one doctor. To meet one doctor. That's a pretty dismal performance. Among the developing countries of the second world countries, we are far behind, somewhere around 70 of 133 countries in terms of medical facilities that are available to the people. And that is again not accessible to the poor. Again, this accessibility is only for the rich. So look at this one. Since the medical facilities are not available profusely, it's all the more imperative that we need to be healthy, because the health deals with the prevention. So only when you are not able to prevent, you want to go for medical intervention. So since the medical facilities are scarcely available across the country, it is imperative for all of us to be conscious of our health, obviously. So these are the challenges in the health, and that we need to face. The one thing is, as the volunteers of this club, you can definitely go to rural areas, conduct a couple of camps, create awareness among the rural people. The next one is, in fact, it's a very beautiful one, health and hygiene. Hygiene is the least, respected entity in the country, in our country. That's a very least respected. Otherwise, India would emerge as one of the beautiful medical destinations. Lack of hygiene has been, we have been given scant respect, for the simple reason that we do not maintain good hygiene conditions. Even our operation theatres in the hospitals are not hygiene, and that leads to secondary infection. A person is operated upon, he comes back with an infection which he has got during the surgery. That's a condition. Even if we are not able to maintain the hygiene in the operation theatres, about the hygiene, that's really a very dismal record. One thing is lack of literacy. The moment you are educated, obviously you will be sensitive to all these parameters. One of the main reasons for not maintaining the good health is basically illiteracy. That's why I'm saying first comes education, automatically the literacy comes. Any educated mother will never fail to give vaccine at the proper time to the child. Why the polio has come? Because of the illiteracy. One of the significant reasons identified for polio in India basically was illiteracy. The mothers were not aware, rural mothers were not aware. That's one. But today, of course, we have eliminated polio thanks to the sustained campaign. The other issue was the health and hygiene. Remember, they basically depend upon the environment. If the environment is very beautiful, by and large you are protected. Natural protection will be there. Very, very beautiful. If you get a very healthy air and very healthy environment, wow, absolutely, half the guarantee is there. 50% of your health is guaranteed if the environment is there. The remaining 50% you have to work to maintain your personal health and personal hygiene. What about that environment? That again, today, because of the industrial revolution, it started from Europe and then we have copied it. We have copied it as soon as we got independence, we simply copied Europe and then we have started ruining all the natural resources. Today, most of the forests are uprooted in the name of industrial revolution. But what's the price paid? Let me tell you. And remember, it's all the more worse for Indian scenario. Let me tell why. In the global land surface, India commands only 2.6% of the global land surface. 2.6% of the global land surface. 4% of Earth's fresh water resources belong to India. But with these meager resources, we are feeding 17% of the world's population. 17%, 120 crore population. Right? Remember the kind of stress placed on the environment and resources. Therefore, in order to feed them, we are exploiting, depleting every possible natural resource. As a result, the environment is getting degraded. When the environment is not healthy, how I can maintain my healthy? That's what I'm saying. My standard of living will be good. My quality of living will not be good. But remember, the standard of living is the subset of quality of living. Subset of quality of living. Slowly, even you cannot maintain a pretty good standard of living when the quality of living is not guaranteed. Therefore, it is imperative, or it's the responsibility of every citizen to ensure his standard of living and also to enhance the quality of living in your own interest. In your own interest. Let me give you one example, that carelessness with which we are degrading the environment. Year before last, I read a Hindu news item. The Pongal celebration, we normally celebrate for 3 days. In the Marina beach, the 3 days, the solid state waste generated was 100 tons. And in the Besantara beach, the solid state generated during that period was 50 tons, 150 tons. Look at the way we are exploiting. Are we responsible? We say we are educated. In terms of education, we are improving. How does it get translated in terms of real quality of life? That's what I'm saying. Our education is basically now materialistic enterprise. We need to sensitize. What is that we are going to give for future generation? Are we not eating the vitals that basically belong to the future generation? I think so. When you consume more than what you deserve, more than what you need, remember you are eating something which belongs to your grandchild or your grandchild, not anybody else. You are not going to leave anything for him. What is that? Are we going to leave a dilapidated world for them? What harm they did for us? Those children have not born. But what is that we are going to pass on? Is it the way we are going to pay our gratitude to the world? Where will you? A beautiful life? That's what I'm saying. We need to strike a balance between our materialistic consumerism or materialistic nature and the health. They have to go hand in hand. That's why we must learn to consume just what is necessary, and we must be conscious of the environment. Remember the seas, what happens there? Over the last centuries, all the seas across the world have risen by 17 centimeter. 17 centimeter. If the seas are going to rise by the same rate, this Pondicherry Engineering College may not be available for us to see in the next century at all. Himalayan glaciers are melting. Did you see? Week before last week in the Hindu newspaper, Himalayan glaciers are melting, and that's why in Hyderabad the houses are drowned. In Karnataka, there's a huge drought. The Karnataka is declared as a drought hit state, whereas the Hyderabad is suffering from the drought. All these imbalances are basically, they are not born, they are made by us, consumerism and materialism. I still remember a very beautiful title, but of course, in the other sense, I think I have shared it with my students. It's a beautiful title. Materialism and consumerism are more dangerous than terrorism. Let me tell you once again. Materialism and consumerism are more dangerous than terrorism. Because it is allowed, it is licensed. You be materialistic, you be consumerist, you be consumer. If I don't change a car, I'm looked upon with disrespect. Oh, you are not changing the car, sir. How long you will drive the car? I'm looked upon with that. So I'm promoted, I'm motivated to be a consumer. I'm motivated to be, buy more and more commodities. Whereas terrorism is not respected. Therefore, there's a check on it. Whereas there is no check on that. So that's the danger. So you are all elite students belonging to the elite society. So it's your responsibility to be conscious and then sensitize the people around, create awareness among the public with regard to health, hygiene and environment, more particularly environment. Environment, that's very, very important, we need to sensitize. Today, no seas are clean, no rivers are clean. As a child, I've seen a very beautiful river, Violet, very close to my village. Today, all sand smuggling, everything, it has spoiled the face of that river. So possibly you are not fortunate enough to see a beautiful river. If that's the case, what the future generations are going to see, I'm afraid. I'm a little skeptical, but excuse me for being skeptical. It is only to create an awareness. It is only to see whether I'm able to sensitize very beautiful and august audience seated before me, because you all will have opportunities to speak to different kinds of people in different areas. Thank you very much for the opportunity given to me, and I wish that this club carries on so well, and it conducts a lot of programs and a lot of activities to sensitize all the people around. And remember, as the students of this Allied Institute and Government Institute, you have greater responsibility to the society. You have to give much more to the society than a student who is studying somewhere else. Studying us, because the society gives you a lot, and we know that should remain indebted to the society. So it is all about, it's definitely you are, and definitely not only that, you will be looked upon with respect. When you say you are a student from PEC, you are looked upon with respect. Use that respect to sensitize that. Use that, galvanize that respect to see whether you are able to sensitize the people around. And that's the way to go. All the best. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir, for your motivating words. Actually, you have specifically mentioned about the name of our club, Health, Hygiene and Environmental Club. Actually, the story behind the name is, Rajendran approached me and told, sir, somebody looks the title as you have mentioned, like connected to one religion like that. So why don't we change as Health Club? So both of us decided to propose this to principal to get his permission. We went. Actually, everything happened at that car-parking way of the E&I department. Principal has taken first step for EC students and came there waiting for his vehicle. And sir, both of us watched. Sir, shall we, actually earlier name is Yoga and Meditation Club, shall we call it as Health Club? Okay, but it is incomplete. Why don't you think in a complete way, like that he told? Meanwhile, he received one mobile. So he was talking with mobile and we were conversing WhatsApp. As soon as mobile was over, then what happened? He has the names. Okay. Health, hygiene and environment. Immediately he replied. So we are thankful to our principal. In the form of our thankfulness, give you a big applause. Really I wanted is, meanwhile he was talking with the other mobile. When he conceived and delivered, it's great. And not only that, principal was very kind enough to help everything. He has given permission for using this one, and he assured us to help us in conducting the programs in all possible ways. There is a proverb in English, a good start is half work done. I am really very much satisfied and immense pleasure by the excellent speeches of today guests, Dr. R. and Dr. E-Srinivasan sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. It is a very worthwhile, sir. Actually, I have to give the aim of this club. I was not successful in telling that Dr. R. was correctly did. So. Excellently, he gave an example and explained. So thank you, sir, for giving the motto. And as usual, a great motivating speech from Dr. E-Srinivasan. We ECE people are always blessed to listen his speeches, and now it is for open forum to enjoy his speech. Sir, we are immensely thankful to you, sir, as a token of our thankfulness. Small mementos, nothing but small goals. I request Dr. Vijay Kumar, our H2EC advisor, to give away one moment to Dr. R. I request Mr. Bhupala, our advisor, H2EC, to give away a memento to Dr. Vijay. So, within few minutes, Mr. Rajendran will start his presentation, and according to my watch, now the time is 3:50. At any class, it won't exceed 4:25, and a beautiful drink has been arranged by Mr. Rajendran. So, complete doctorate is coming very frequently. So, as an environment-friendly drinking he has made, a special drink. So kindly taste it and go. And actually he has not even supporting the paper tumblers. Actually the paper tumblers are okay, but he is very much environmental conscious, and he brought some 60 silver tumblers from his home to serve everything. And I asked him, sir, if you bring everything, who will clean it? He simply told, you keep, I will take to my home and clean. Great applause.